Helen and Hester, you just moderated a breakout session about AI and plain language, and you both demonstrated AI tools that your organizations are working on to help people write in plain language. We can't demonstrate those tools again now, but Hester, could you start by briefly telling the audience what your tools are about?
Yes, a couple of years ago we made a tool to help people with low literacy skills to understand the letters that they receive from government and other official institutions. And they can take a picture with their phone and the app gives them a summary in easy-to-read language. And then we noticed that so many communications professionals also started to use this simple app to improve their communications and write in plain language, that we thought we should help and assist the writers as well. And then we made a tool called Schrijf Simpel, which does exactly that.
My next question is, why wouldn't people just use ChatGPT instead?
That's a very good question. I think many people find it hard to, and we're talking about a writing tool now, not about a reading tool, but you can also, of course, use ChatGPT or any other tool to improve your texts. But what we did with the tool, we want to make it as frictionless as possible. So we already optimized the prompt for plain language, and we also we demonstrate what has been improved and why, so that people actually learn something from it, and that we can contribute to like awareness raising about the importance of plain language and what it looks like. And you can also very easily compare the text, and it's privacy proof.
Thank you. And my last question to you is, I hear that your tools are only available in the Netherlands and in Belgium.
Yes, that's correct. The tools that we make for people to read and write in plain language, we only make it available in the Netherlands and in Belgium. But Helen from the European Commission is working on European tools as well. So.
Yes, so over to Helen. Could you tell us a bit about the tools the European Commission is working on for plain language?
Okay. How does this work?
You just talk.
Is it? Okay, right. Okay, I get it. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Of course. In 30-second flat, of course. Could you tell us a bit about the tools the European Commission is working on for plain language specifically?
So we have a website called the Digital Europe AI-based multilingual services platform. I think I got that right. If you're in the room, we have a stand outside where you can chat to my colleagues and pick up flyers that explain all these different tools. But they're all tools that are designed for complex writing tasks. And the ones that I presented in the session earlier are specifically for writing text to the web or converting a text into a web document. So it can be something long or maybe something you've written that you want to improve. And this can be done in any language. It's a service available in all languages. And the other service that we presented was similar to Hester's tool. Is for creating easy read text for people with learning disabilities. And that's available in French, German and English, but it will soon be available in all EU languages. And even though it's for people with learning difficulties primarily, we also find it helps people who are non-native speakers, people in a hurry, people who are very stressed. It has a multitude of uses. We even have directors using it to prepare for meetings. So yeah, I think he was saying the same thing, that these things take on a life of their own. But, yeah.
Thank you, that's great. And a much more specific question. What is AI good at, and what things does it need more help with in terms of plain writing?
So I think that is a good question. I think the things that it finds easy to do, it's very good at completely rewriting text. So it's brilliant, sort of pretty much out of the box at taking something and just summarizing and rewriting. What we found more challenging working here in the Commission, one of the prototypes we have is for very careful editing and re-editing of text. And this is more problematic because It writes very well the first time, but if you wanted to change specific things but leave other things, it tends to tell you that it did that, but it lies, and it's much more tricky to get it to edit something very, very accurately. So I think one of the panelists was talking about legal documents, for example. So we're working on these kinds of things as well, but this will take a bit more prompt engineering, or perhaps when the models also improve a bit.
Thank you. And then we wanted to bring back a question that was asked by the audience. What kind of AI module are you using? Is it a public model? And how do you protect people's data?
Oh, yeah. So I think there's a question you also had, Hester. So in our case, we're using models from OpenAI, but we use them in a secure cloud environment through Microsoft Azure. So they're completely safe, and your data is completely contained, and neither we nor Microsoft nor anyone else have access to the data. It's not used to train the models, for example. So in that sense, it's completely secure. So we're using a state-of-the-art model. We also experiment a bit with a French model, Mixtral at the moment, but for the moment, the models that are working the best, at least for us, are the ones from OpenAI.
Thank you. And my final question is for both of you, Helen and Hester. How can people in the audience get in touch with you if they want to know more?
Yeah, for me, you can send an email to hester@leessimple.nl. That is Lees simple with EL. Leessimple, hester@leessimple.nl.
Oh, and in my case, it's the Digital Europe AI-based multilingual services website. And if you're in the room, you can just visit our AI stand outside, and they can share you some flyers. But otherwise, yes, hopefully the links are provided somewhere.
Yeah, I think our email address is on the slide. No, I don't think
yes,
so.
are they? Okay. Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, get in touch, please. Yeah, and we'll also be around. So please ask us questions.
And I think that would be really great as well, because I think for both of us, these services, I think you said as well that they're not perfect by any means yet. They're a constant work in progress. We always take on feedback, so please try them, and please do get in touch if you can see ways that you think we should improve.
Thank you. Could you please join us in thanking them?
Yes, thank you very much. And now we have Group 2, ClearLanguage and the media. Could I have Michelle Weitzman and Stefan de Geersmaker? The stage is yours.
All right. So our session tried to take things from the journalist's point of view, because it's very easy when you're working on projects, when you're trying to share them with the media, to come at it from your point of view and all of the work you've done that you want everybody to know about. But it's very important to realize the world that the journalists are working in right now. And it's a world where there are fewer journalists for large organizations. It's a world where those fewer journalists are trying to put out more product. They're expected to do things in multiple formats. So whereas it used to be that somebody was just a newspaper journalist or just a radio journalist, and now they're radio, newspaper, television, social media, podcast, and they're expected to do all of these things in the same amount of time or less. The editors who receive your media releases, there are also fewer of them, and they're expected to go through more media releases than ever before and decide which ones are important to their audience and which ones are just somebody looking for some self-promotion. And then there are the poor fact checkers, most of whom are out of a job. But the few fact checkers that exist are now dealing with a lot more misinformation. And so you have to make it easier for them to check the facts that you're giving. So that's what we tried to emphasize, is that the more you help the media to do their job, the more likely it is that your story is going to get out there accurately and quickly. And that means giving them the tools they need, giving them things in a way that they can reproduce it in their media without a lot of time and effort. So basically, do their job for them, and your story will get out there.
Thank you very much, Michel. Guys, it's really nice to see you and see and sense the enthusiasm and the passion for clear language. It's incredibly, incredibly important, and especially in our relations with the media, as Michel just explained. I think there's two priorities, two ideas that we stressed a lot during the session. The first idea is when you prepare media material, think of your 85-year-old aunt. Think of your very kind neighbor. Think of your children. Think of the lady that sold you this excellent French cheese at the market that you visited this weekend. Think of these people and ask yourselves, what on earth is it that we are offering them? How are we changing their lives? What difference are we making through the things that we are doing? And the reply to that question is what we need to see in press releases. We don't want to see in press releases all the wonderful work that has been done on amendment, on regulations, on guidelines. We've spent years and years of hard work doing that and drafting these things, but what matters is the difference that we make to the concrete lives of the aunt, of your children, and of the cheese lady. That's what matters. The second important idea, I think, is that what you are doing for the citizens, for companies, should be presented at the beginning of your press release, at the beginning of your press material. Do not build up a nice story as if it's a Netflix story with lots of problems and issues to then at the end of your press release have some kind of Batman and Superman telling, and therefore we have done this and this and this and this wonderful. No, go straight to the heart of the matter in the first two sentences in your paragraph, and this is where you should put all the great stuff that we are doing or that you are doing. Do not forget that journalists get lots and lots and lots of press releases and press stuff from all kinds of organizations. The first sentences matter. In an ideal world, these sentences are sentences that can be copy-pasted into the article of the journalist. So these are some of the ideas we discussed, and we had some other quite practical, interesting recommendations that have come from this. But again, let us not forget that we are doing this for your friends, family, and neighbors. Thank you.
You have got a few minutes left. Would you be happy to take some questions, if there are any? Yep. I put you on the spot there.
Cheese ladies?
Somebody think of the cheese lady.
There's a question there.
Is this on? Okay, perfect. It's not about the cheese lady. I'm so sorry. It was a question I wanted to make earlier, but we didn't have enough time. I wanted to ask, at what extent do we have to take into consideration how much people will care about a piece of information? Because, for example, I'm 20 years old. Like, my generation gets their information mostly via short-form content, TikTok, Instagram, etc. And they usually do not care about details or things other people may consider useful. Most of the time, they only want to know who's the bad guy and who's the good guy, which in this situation, in most situations, and usually political situations, is not that simple. So what could be the general guidelines to determine what piece of information will people care about and what piece of information they will not? Thank you very much.
I think the answer is in your question. What do people care about? That is the one thing you have to put at the beginning. And I have a friend who runs a PR company, and the thing she constantly tells people, because of course people come to PR companies because they want to get attention for what they're doing. And the question she always asks first is, so what? How does this affect my life? How are you going to make my life better, worse, different? Why do I need to know this? And I think that's when you only have a chance to use one piece of information, that's the piece of information you have to use. Why does it matter to the people reading this or listening?
And I think it's very important. So you have to look at the target groups, who is interested in what, and you have also adapted, I would say, media tools that you can use to reach out to young people, for instance. Social media, very important. So indeed, you have to be very mindful of what it is that people are interested in, and of course adapt the message. I mean, you don't change the substance, but adapt the message to the interest. And to answer your question, who is the good guy, who's the bad guy, the reply to that is the good guy is always the European Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have time for one more question, if there's interest in the room. It's almost lunchtime, little wonder. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for sharing. We've gone from 3 to 2 to a single presenter, representing the final group, Economic and Social Policy, the cost of not being clear. Lindo, welcome.
Thank you.
Stage is yours.
Martin, Ingrid, would you like to join also? I'll be the one speaking though, so thank you. So yeah, when policies are confusing, people stop paying attention. So in our session, we discussed how unclear communication can lose the audience, can make people lose trust and confidence in what we're doing. We first had a presentation by Ingrid. She is from the Austrian National Bank and the European Central Bank. She discussed how ClearLanguage has improved their annual report by making them short, more relevant, and more understandable. So she and her team, what they did first is actually they had first a change of culture, because the top management asked for the report to be more focused. Clearer. So they have shortened the report from 100 pages to about 50. Yeah. And they focus the report on 3 to 5 important topics. They also make sure that they use some clear writing rules like short sentences, about 16 to 18 words, everyday language, plain language. And they have seen from an external study that actually the reports now are more effective. People are able to find information easier, and it has built credibility in the institution. But what was the most striking, I think, in your presentation was a chart that shows that she showed that proved that there's a language proficiency gap. So people who are even native speakers usually speak at a B1, B2 level, whereas our corporate text use a C1 or higher level. So there's definitely a gap there. We're not reaching the people that we want to reach. And then we had a presentation by Martin from the European Economic and Social Committee. I will refer to it as the committee from now on because it's a bit too long. So he talked about clear writing in the committee and how sometimes very complex multi-author documents, opinions, press releases can be improved thanks to investments by the committee in clear writing training, a practical workshop as well. And there's also a few practical insights that he shared with us. The fact that, for instance, if one person edits a document from the beginning to the end, then you kind of ensure that a document that was drafted by so many people has one voice, let's say. He also worked with us through 2 interactive writing exercises, and I think these were really, really interesting because people sometimes were disagreeing even about the use of bullet points. And that comes to show again sometimes that even even Martin, who is a clear writing trainer, can also, learn from a fresh new perspective. People who don't know anything about the jargon at all. He actually also discussed how jargon can slip in our policy document, our press releases, etc. Because sometimes we've been in the EE bubble for too long. Things becomes, our everyday language. And also sometimes when you are short on time, when you have some time pressure, you tend to reuse material from the past that maybe was not super clear to begin with. So that was also very lively and interesting presentation. And then we had a Q&A that actually gathered lots of questions, lots of feedback. So really thank you to the participants for your participation. 2 points that I would like to mention is a question that was directed to specifically to Ingrid about how to involve the target audience. And I thought it was really interesting that you said that there's a sounding board basically from the press officers who know from looking in media every day what are the hottest topics, what are things that people care most about. And also the fact that management goes to events, so they meet people, they meet real people, everyday people, who tell them things like inflation, rising prices are the most are the biggest concerns for them. So those are the things that they try to integrate in their annual report to have this evidence-based mindset. And also the fact that, the second point, the fact that clear language is not about dumbing down. It's about making sure that we are understood. And we can do this by reframing the way we see clear language. So it's not just a useful add-on, but it's a necessity. We have to adapt to our audience, obviously, and we have to train people for them to gain the skills to be clear in their language, but also we have to train them in having adopting a new mindset to make sure that they understand also the value of having clear language. So, the name of our session was Economic and Social Policy, the Cost of Not Being Clear. So what is the cost of not being clear? When people don't understand our policy, our communication in the social and economic policy, but also broader policy in general, we lose time, we lose trust, and we lose impact. Those are the costs. Well, thank you so much.